Greeting from the vibrant city of Amsterdam. I'm thrilled to be joining you live from highly anticipated Google I/O event. We're in for a treat as we dive into the latest tech news straight from the brilliant minds of Google. Today, we'll talk about beyond the buzzwords, demystifying AI. I'm Mazor Kario, product design and AI expert, and I'll be your host. And today with me is my guest, Xavier Portilla Edo, Google developer expert for ML and AI expert. I'm so happy that you joined me, Xavi.
It's a pleasure for me as well. Thanks for the invitation.
So let's start with thinking together about AI. What's the craziest misconceptions you've encountered about AI, and how do we debunk it?
Yeah, I mean, right now, and especially with all the things that are happening in terms of, like generative AI, large language models that, I mean, we will talk about it because I have a bunch of things to talk about it, but I think the craziest one that I heard is, like the AI will remove jobs, will destroy everything that we are doing.
Yeah.
And that's something that it's happening, and, like with this Gen AI, with all these new trends are, I don't know, like these kind of thoughts are becoming more and more trendy, and of course, I mean, we are, like our jobs are safe, but
You think?
yeah, I think
I know
so.
people say that coders would be the first ones to be impacted, with all the co-pilot abilities and all of that. What do you think?
No, I think right now is like they are helping us a lot. For instance, like now that you mentioned Copilot, like in my day to day, like that helps me like a bunch. It's like, I don't know, like the increasing the productivity is like, I don't know, 2x 3x time better than before. Like, I don't know, for instance, when I'm writing documentation, when I'm writing like boilerplate functions, like that is super fast. But that doesn't mean that we are gonna lose our jobs. We are gonna. The main thing here is that our focus is gonna be in the focus. Not in those boilerplate things.
Yeah. So you think we'll utilize the abilities of AI instead of like
Exactly.
being replaced? Okay.
Exactly.
So if I asked you to describe AI in just 3 words, what would they be and why?
So, well, my expertise is in conversational AI. So I would say since 2010s, that there's a huge disruption right now. So I would say like those 3 words are gonna be the future now. Like the future is now.
The future is now?
Yeah, because in terms, at least in conversational AI, like we were waiting for a change for a while in terms
Yeah.
of like frameworks, way to interact, or way like the way that human interacts with computers, and now we are living that. So I think that is gonna be the 3 words that I picked.
I would have said like amazing, fast, and frightening maybe.
Yeah. No, and especially fast. Like, I don't know. Right now we are seeing like not every single week, like a new model, a new large language model, a new, like framework, a new tool, it's fantastic. I know 2023 start like so fast and like hard, and so I'm looking forward to the end of the year, to 2024, like with all the Google things that are appearing right
Yeah.
now. The technologies like Palm, like all the things that are under Vertex AI that they release, all the things that are coming that for instance, like I am beta testing and are really great and working really nice. So yeah, looking forward to all the things that was presented in the IO Connect, and like when they bring to the all the users in terms of generally availability, it's gonna be so awesome.
So do you think that with Vertex and Palm and Bard in general, it will catch up with OpenAI and be even better?
I mean, OpenAI was the first one. So when you are the first one, I mean, there's, like you are
Advantage.
you are on top of everything. But at the end, there are cool things appearing, like Bird. For instance, Bird right now has access to internet, which is OpenAI doesn't
Yeah.
have. Is I think
You,
it's
you need
trained
to ask it to
exactly.
go to the
It's
internet.
trained until 2021, I believe. So what happened there,
Yeah.
And then Bar, they are introducing new things. Palm 2 is really, really nice. Of course, I mean, every single LLM is good at its, at its things. I mean, you cannot have like a perfect solution for everything,
Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense. And but yeah, I don't think that is like Bar is gonna be or on top of OpenAI or the other way around. I think that we are gonna choose. We are gonna, and that is something that I'm finding as well. Like for instance, do you use Claude from Anthropic? It's
No.
another LLM.
No.
So what we are, or at least where we are going, is like one LLM for one specific case, use
Yeah.
case. So
So they will be different in the use case and the type of.
exactly. It's not like iOS, Android, or iPhone or Pixel. It's like like you have your, for instance, like SecPalm, MedPalm, like these
Yeah.
things.
I see what you're saying. I think that first, if OpenAI was the first, doesn't mean that they will stay up there. And second, all the open source is getting there, right?
Yeah.
And I see that Google is investing lots of efforts and resources on that.
Yeah.
For sure, they have lots of that data, more than, I guess, anyone else.
Exactly.
So,
And that's something that you will see in terms of papers. Like OpenAI was there, but if you take a look to the papers, like most of them are papers from Google researchers,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a mix of everything, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
So how can we ensure responsible AI development and mitigate potential risk of privacy and security?
That's quite interesting. So the other day, I don't know if the people that are hearing us, if they did the Hugging Face course, like that. There's one introductory course, and there is one chapter about the
Responsible AI, yeah.
AI. And that's highly recommended because in terms of responsible AI, like for instance, like Copilot, like all these things, we have to make sure that everything is, or that we are using the AI in the correct way, that we are using or that we are training our models with correct data. Because for instance, with Copilot, when you are typing like, I don't know, like bar password equals, and then Copilot recommends you a password,
Yeah.
that is because of something, because
Yeah.
on Copilot is trained using the GitHub code, the open one, and that means that there are passwords there.
Wow.
So yeah, we have to be very careful with all these things. Be like mindful in terms of like understanding the input that we are giving, the output, and what is happening inside. I mean, because right now AI is like a black box,
Yeah.
like there's input, there's output, and
Nobody could
matter
know.
what is happening inside,
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's like I don't know, like it's part of the things or the efforts that we have to do as well, because yeah, like most of the people, like for instance, my friends, like when they are interacting with ChatGPT or Bar or whatever, is like, okay, so I take the output as the global truth, So that's not the thing. We have to
Right.
double check every single output,
Yeah.
and to match with the reality. So yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about the security of the data and what is the output, and you talked about the fact that sometimes it's not the truth, what it says. Another thing is the ethics and bias. When you're taking data from the real world, it is biased because people are biased and everything is biased. And then you get biased answers from it, and we should take that into consideration too.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's like I don't know, like if you, for instance, like a simple use case, like when you search something from Wikipedia, you think that is true, and probably it's not. Like someone, because everyone can change Wikipedia,
Yeah.
So that's super important, like to double check whatever.
Yeah, I know that in some cases it will quote a research that does not exist, for example.
Exactly.
And
And you can tweak everything. Like you have an output, for instance, like which is great and which is true, and you can tweak that output, to make it happen like it's not true or it's not the reality. So because yeah, and especially with ChatGPT and Bard and all these things, like you can tweak whatever, like in terms of the conversation, you can end up in like in really weird things, and
yeah,
I saw like on Twitter like a bunch of things really funny but scary, because it's like, I don't know, like for instance like 2 plus 2, and I think it was ChatGPT like those 4, but at the end, like after a long conversation, it was saying 5, so
yeah. You need to persuade it to say 5 in the end, but he's saying it in perfect security. He's so sure that that's
yeah.
the answer, and you trust him. You
And
know.
then a screenshot to social media, and that's it. So yeah, we will need to be very careful with these things and
Yeah.
using it in the proper way. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So how can we strike a balance between embracing the potential of AI and maintaining human control and oversight?
So that's, for instance, in Spain and also in Europe, like in Europe overall, like in the European Commission, there's right now like a committee working on this, like preparing laws, preparing, like
Regulations and so, yeah.
regulations. And in Spain and also in Italy, we are doing the same. Because, like we have to be very careful with these things. And there are also companies that these tools are not allowed, or
Yeah.
if you are using them, it's because you are building a product on top of these things, which is also a really trendy thing, like building things on top of ChatGPT or on top of GPT-4 or these large language models. But at the end, it's like, let's figure out what's going on here, and because for instance in Europe it's not like the US. In the US, here in Europe, we have the GDPR, and all the data is super important. We have to keep everything, and in the US it's like, I know, like quite laxed, like if you see the Californian one, the CCPA, and you compare CCPA and GDPR in terms of data protection, it's not the same, like
Yeah.
that's why, for instance, a bar is only you can access only from the UK here in Europe, because it's not they are in the process, so yeah, I mean, data privacy is super important, and there are things happening, but we are in an early stage, and like when we are talking about regulations, about laws, and all these things takes time. So, and I wish and I hope that we will have something like, I don't know, probably by the end of the year, because things are moving quite fast.
Yeah. I know, maybe it will be very similar to the GDPR for AI, but it seems that it will need to have the capacity to work with these laws and do something, because now the big companies have so much power, and governments don't really understand even the depth of the power.
Exactly.
And they're very behind.
Even the technology.
And as we said, it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like,
what they are doing, which is really, I mean, that makes sense. But for instance, in Spain, there's a machine learning committee, and there are some Google developer experts in machine learning there, and they are helping the government, because it's like, okay, I am the government, but I don't know how to deal with this. Like, can you explain me what is going on? So there's like a committee with specialists, and they are doing like, like a huge is right now, it's like a book of, like all the things that they are preparing for, at least for Spain, and similar to for Europe. So
yeah. You mentioned data protection, which is so important, because right now you're taking data from within your company, whatever, and because you need these like cloud services or
Exactly.
applications, and you cannot have it like local. You cannot have this like model
Exactly,
running
exactly.
local. So it's a problem.
So yeah, for instance, well, right now on Azure, for example, you can deploy an OpenAI instance. For instance, on Vertex, you can deploy right now Bison, which is a small Palm 2. I fine-tuned the other day one Bison, and you can deploy these things, but it's something that, as you said, like you cannot run. There are, which one is the? I think it's the Facebook one. You can run it on a laptop, but I mean the laptop it's gonna use like 90% of the usage
Yeah.
or something like that. And you know, when we talk about AI and when something is trained, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of computing, is like fine, but to train these huge models with billions and trillions of parameters and inputs is like crazy, you know? So it's something that, yeah, like we will need to deploy in the cloud, and it's not cheap. I don't remember the pricing in terms of Azure. In terms of Google, right now it's kind of free because it's not available for everyone, so we are testing it. But yeah, like it's not cheap.
Yeah, and these models are very hard. This is why only the big companies could have the capacity to do so.
Exactly.
And
So
that's why OpenAI went to Microsoft, because they need that.
And in terms of privacy that we were talking, the only way to have privacy is instead of using public instances, like instead of going to chat.openai dot AI, I think.
Dot
Well,
AI, yeah.
instead of
ChatGPT.ai.
instead of going there, you have to deploy. What we are doing at my company is we are deploying like Azure OpenAI instances, and that's the way that you can say that your data is safe, because it's at the end it's just like a huge VM, like a virtual machine running the model and training and training and training with all the inputs, like for instance, like I don't know, with internal documentation, with internal wikis, with all these things. So yeah.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking two things. First, regarding the hardware, right now it's very heavy, but I guess that Apple would do something. NVIDIA is already doing for the gaming, so I guess we'll see advancement there
We'll
too.
see, yeah.
Yeah, and about the data that we're talking about, people don't really understand why it's so complex to build this, other than the model. You know, you need the computational power, these virtual machines in order to run that, and you need all the data. So you need a capacity to use these machines. My question is, if I'm training, let's say your company is training your virtual machine on Azure, would it go somewhere to the general model? Like, let's say you're getting information from your company, and maybe your competitors would be able to use some of the advantages, not even the private data of your clients. Like, maybe it will go there, and then it will be powerful in that domain too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and if you leak any internal documentation, probably like it could be powerful, but also you can have like a security leak and you don't even realize and you don't know like that happened.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's powerful, but you know, like with control.
Okay, we're almost done. I have more questions, but I'll take the last one. What's your ultimate dream for AI? Like,
So, well, right now I'm like living a dream with all these things in terms of conversational AI. So, because as I said in the beginning, like we were expecting this change, like happen since like 10, 15 years ago. Like we are creating a new paradigm in terms of like interactions between humans and computers, and right now I'm living my dream.
good. My dream would be that it would help us and we will not help
Yeah,
it
exactly.
instead.
Exactly.
So thank you, Xavi, for being with me, and thank you all for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
All right.